Hi Leo, this is Carrie at wooingnature.life and welcome to January. I am bringing you greetings that hopefully will spread throughout the year. So I am anxious to get started on your reading today. I know I'm going to have to pause this video to go and get my glasses because I always forget my glasses. But I am going to be reading from the I-Ching today. I'm going to start out with the I-Ching because the I-Ching gives a nice, broad-reaching message, one that I think can carry you throughout the year. And it also will give you some details or things to think about to keep you going. I like it because it gives admonitions, it gives warnings, it also gives you some things to think about, ways to think about your situation. So I really appreciate I-Ching for that. I will be reading from the Holitzka cards, though, which is a little bit different style of divination than the regular I-Ching where you're throwing the coins or you're counting the yarrow. But if you do want to get an I-Ching reading using the coin or the yarrow, I can do that for you as well. And then after that, I'm going to go into a month by month, starting with January, ending in December, and I'm going to look at the year ahead. So this January reading is not just for January, it's actually for the entire 2021 because I think it will benefit you to have a sense of what your year ahead is going to look like, especially since our last year was so unpredictable. So I'm going to take a pause, get the glasses, and then we'll get right to your reading. Hold tight. All right there, Leo. I'm sorry I'm looking. I gotta see if the ticker is going. All right. So we are headed into the I-Ching. This is Klaus Holitzka's deck. Some great pen and ink drawings to go along with the traditional text. It is an interpretation of the traditional text. So for those of you who are very familiar with the I-Ching, if you want to go to that passage and read it from the passage of the translation that you prefer, then by all means do so. But for today and for the sake of time, we're going to work with the Holitzka interpretation. So what I'm looking for is one card to represent the overall theme and then another card that's going to represent the changing lines. And this is for Leo for the entire year of 2021. So a theme for Leo, if there's a theme out there for Leo. There we go. Both of them came out at the same time. All right. How about that for efficiency? So that may be a part of your lesson as well. The passage is passage 39. Oh, excuse me, 30. Passage number 30. And for those of you who are numerologically inclined, if you want to apply the numerology, you know what that means. But this is passage number 30, not 39. 30. All right. The passage is called Adhering or Fire. This is really interesting because fire energy has been coming up for the past month. For me, I got the fire energy from the Archangel Nathaniel. I got a lot of that in November, around the time of November. And then also fire is associated with Ogun or anybody who's working with fire energy, then you'll know what we're talking about. And of course, fire is an element. It's one of the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Fire represents the spirit. Fire represents our passions. It represents that which ignites us, excites us. It's also ideas. So all of that comes from fire. But I'm reading from the text now. When two forces mutually support one another, they achieve a greater effect than would be possible, each one acting alone. Well, I should say so. You are, or the I-Ching should say so. You are currently in the vicinity of a complicated power struggle. Understand that even you cannot be impartial. Accept the given nature of the mutual dependence. Upon open up to other forces and to relationships capable of bearing the strain. All of those involved live up to their individual challenges through mutual support. You should not question the importance of cooperation, even in relationships where there is less harmony. Adapt your ideas to the realities and use your energy to expand into new horizons. Now, this is a very powerful lesson because a lot of times Everyone likes to deal with like-minded people. I hear that a lot. People say, well, I just want to be with more like-minded people. Well, the thing about being around a bunch of like-minded people is that it's going to get pretty mundane, pretty boring, and you're probably not going to learn a lot from each other. You learn from the people that are challenging you, and you can also learn from the people that are like-minded too. But when you have all the like-minded and not enough of a contrast, then you may be missing some important lessons here. And I feel like this is what the I-Ching is pointing out. So these two forces that you may be up against, or that you may be dealing with, and I'm going to say that instead of us thinking about this in terms of another person or other people or a situation, I want you to broaden your horizons and broaden your mind just a little bit and think of this as just force. So there are two forces at work. Um, and whatever those seemingly opposing energies are really learning from each other, and the energy that they're using is actually pushing both of you up. So I want you to think about that. And especially when you run up on it in your waking life. Your waking life means that a situation happens and there's this opposition, or there's a feeling of tension between you and another person, and you just want to kind of hang it up and throw in the towel and all of that kind of stuff. But that wouldn't necessarily benefit you in terms of your growth and evolution in 2021. What's going to push your evolution is when you are able to be in relationship with this person that you have conflict with, or be in relationship with the conflict itself. Because these things can take all kinds of forms, folks. That's why if I seem to be talking very generally, it's one, because I'm talking to a general population of people, but also because when you're dealing with energy, the energy can take any kind of shape or form, whatever it is, whatever the form or the circumstance or the set of circumstances that's going to be the best teacher for you. So in one person, in one Leo situation, it may be that it's very personal. Could be you and one other person, and you're always going at it, and you're like, you know what, why is this person always trying to get with me? And why is this here? And you just want to avoid it, or either you know that you're getting ready to do this head button thing as soon as you show up on the scene and you're both in each other's presence. So for other people, it may just seem like, I don't really know where I need to go. I don't know whether to stay or to go, or I don't know whether I'm supposed to do this or that. It may show up in that form. So in whatever way it materializes, instead of fighting against it, just, as they say, lean into it and see what comes of it, because there's some growth happening there. So there's an importance. Cooperation is important, even in the relationships where it's not harmonious. So when you think about cooperation, don't just think about the people that you get along with. Cooperation is whatever is going to advance the script, whatever is going to advance the idea, whatever is going to push your set of lessons or your evolution forward. Okay? It talks about mutual dependence. I like this because it's not dependency and it's not codependency. It's mutual independence, which also means interdependence. I'm dependent on you, you're dependent on me, but the relationship isn't dependent in such a way that if something happened and you weren't around, that everybody would fall apart, or my emotional needs are not being met. That's codependency. Okay. So do your homework around that. All right, so let's look at the changing lines, Leo, and let's see what's happening with you here. So we've got 1 as a changing line, and 4, and 5 and 6. So 1, 4, 5, and 6. Line 1 says, each new beginning holds its own surprises in store. Create the vision you need through quiet and level-headed planning. Okay? Never lose sight of your objective, as the first step decides what is to come later. So there again, when you are dealing with some difficulty, a power struggle, etc., etc., your respite, for those of you for whom this resonates, your respite is to create the vision, go in and do that, and then do some planning. Okay. And then after you do your planning, and your planning is a part of you keeping and maintaining your part of the deal, your part of the challenge, your aspect of it. Remember, we talked about mutual dependence. So it's not about acquiescing whatever it is that you want to do and just letting somebody else take over because you just mad and you don't feel like it anymore. No. It's about continuing to develop your vision. It's about continuing to develop and formulate a structure around what it is that you envision, because that may be the very thing that's needed in order for you and the other people involved, or the other person involved, to be able to reach some kind of harmonious conclusion around the situation. All right, so we're moving on to number 4. Number 4 says the upturn is unstable and the force insufficient for long-term success. The upturn is unstable. So for some of you, you're ready to take off. You're ready to go and plunge forward with what you want to do, but it's not stable and the force isn't enough. You don't have enough energy behind the thing that you're trying to do. That's why they're talking about the mutual dependence, because what they're saying to you is that you can't act alone. It says, when two forces mutually support one another, they achieve a greater effect than would be possible for each one acting alone. So in this situation, whatever it is that you're envisioning in order for it to have long-term success, it needs force behind it. It needs more than just you behind it. It says, pay attention that you don't disregard your main concern for quick success. Don't let go of the main thing, the most important thing, because you're just trying to be successful. Okay. Number 5 says interchange is accompanied by psychological growth pains. Ooh. I understand. Okay. Interchange is accompanied by psychological growth pains. You recognize the limited importance of desires and concerns and endeavor to find a new approach to life. This is very, very good. A lot of times when we are focused on our successes, and we are focused, and Leo can be focused because Leo, you're a leader. You're the leader type. So you can be focused on what it is that you want and what you desire. But what you're learning is that there's a limitation to that. And you decide that you need to take a different approach. And then in line 6, it says you must energetically fight the element of disturbance if you want to rid yourself of the bad. And I put that in quotes. The bad meaning the opposition, okay? But don't be too extreme in your actions. Being too demanding on yourself or others is not advisable, okay? All right, so this is about adhering, probably attaching to your ideas, maybe even attaching to the way that you see your ideas coming forward or moving forward. If you're working with a group, if you're working with a team, then more than likely you have the idea of how this is going to be moving forward, and everybody else is probably, dumb. But I want you to suspend that, and I want you to just remember that that part of the growth process involves the struggle and involves the challenge, and also involves being challenged. So if you're being challenged, then that's good, If you're being challenged, that's good. As long as it doesn't feel like it's so overwhelming that you can't absorb the lesson. And you'll know when that is. You'll know when you're feeling challenged. You might go and have a moment, but then after the moment is gone, you'll really be able to see the benefit of the lesson learned. All right, so I am going to head into the year ahead. I always want to say the year in review, but it's not the year in review. It's the year ahead. And what I want to do is just look at it month by month. So we'll look at the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and we'll just kind of get a good sense of what's going on. I will also be using the Sun and Moon Tarot for this. And I'm also reading from the, what is this? This is the Spirit of the Wheel. So I'm using the Spirit of the Wheel to lay out the year. And then I'm using the Sun and Moon Tarot to understand what's going on month by month. So let's start with January 2021. This is the rest and cleansing moon. So that's the time period when you're supposed to be resting and cleansing. You know, clearing your body, doing some meditation, taking some time out for yourself. After the holidays are over, you need to be resting. All right, and so we have the Princess of Pentacles here. The Princess of Pentacles means that some things are going to come to you from that period. So in January, Leo, you need to be doing some meditation. You need some quiet time. You need some meditation. You need to do your prayers. You need to also just be open to receive messages, because there is a message coming through. It probably has something to do with either it could have to do with your health. It could be in relationship to your home life. It could be in relationship to your finances, anything that's in the realm of the earth. So it is something tangible. It's not necessarily bad news. This is really good news, because it's coming in the form of these beautiful flowers. And then I'm also seeing that there's some new life that's coming from this experience. I see you getting a handle on your finances. If for those of you who are having difficulties with finances, I see you getting a handle on that. And I think that the time that it takes for you to kind of get out of the situation and think about it objectively is going to help you do that. So as we go into February and March, there's it's time for you to put your ideas into motion. It's time for you to like organize your thoughts, organize or strategize a plan. It's time for you to think about, like, put your mind on the thing that you're trying to do. That means that your focus should be there. You're focusing on this thing, whatever it is that's coming through. And that's the way that you get the energy into the thing. That's what they're telling me. So the way to get the energy into the situation that you're trying to build upon is to put thought energy into it. So the thoughts are the things that you want to see happen. They're also the organizational things that need to happen in order for you to bring forward what it is that you're trying to bring forward. This requires some self-discipline on your part, and it also requires you to be listening in the spirit. That's why in January you have this time where you have to listen, because the downloads are coming through. So you need to be able to listen in spirit, and you also need to discipline yourself. But that's what the organization of thoughts is all about. Because you have the ideas. The ideas are coming through to you. They are going to be definitely coming through to you in January. But after you get the information in January, now you got to organize the information. You got to put it in order. That's February. All right. So in the budding trees moon, which is around the time of late March going into April, is when you are reaching the Queen of Swords energy. I think this is really interesting because we've got all the court cards. Well, not all of them, but these are all court cards, which to me represents people. Okay? And remember when we looked at the I-Ching, and it's talking about these people, these relationships, this mutual dependence. So it could be that these are all people coming in with energies, but the energy that they're bringing in is energy that you have to understand, or that you have to learn about. You have to learn how to, you're either going to have to learn how to manage it, or you're going to have to see how these energies tie into the project that you're working on. And please keep in mind, when I say a project, it doesn't have to be about work. But that's the way I think of all of this. I think of it as work. So it could be personal work, emotional work, spiritual work. It could be physical work, your job, any of that. But whatever it is that your spirit is working through right now, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so it's you got to look at the people that are around you during this time too. So you've got a Princess of Pentacles. This is somebody who is communicating about things of a practical nature, okay? Then you have the Prince of Swords coming in, and the Prince of Swords, because in this deck, the Prince is something else. It's not the King, it's something else. The Knight is the King, and the Prince is the Knight. So anyway, the Prince of Swords is growth, represents growth. This may be somebody who's younger than you. It could be somebody who's kind of youthful, who has a lot of energy. But they can help you with the organization of thoughts if that's what you need. And then as you move into the budding trees moon, then we have the Queen of Swords here. And to me, the Queen of Swords is discernment, represents discernment, and also discernment and the ability to make things happen. Okay, so I think that that first part of the year, January, February, March, is when you are going to be gathering your energies and gathering your resources. I'm talking about your people resources, okay? Your people resources, your people resources. This is human capital here, is what you're thinking about in a positive way, okay? In a positive way. Nothing wrong with human capital, but we just have to know what to do with it. All right, so we're going into April and May, which is a time of cooperation. The time of cooperation is when that love comes in. Look at the love coming in. This is when you start to gel and it starts to make sense to you. And you're like, oh, now I understand what it is that we're supposed to do, because you've had time with all of these people that I'm talking to you about. This is your people gathering time, first part. And then as that happens, then when you come into the second quarter, now you're seeing the light. Now you're seeing the light, Carol Ann. Come into the light, Carol Ann. All right, and see, there's even more to give. That's coming up in the corn planting moon. That's the latter part of May going into June. You're getting even more from that. So now that you've realized the purpose of the collaboration, the purpose of the bringing it together, the purpose of making it all melt together, then you get more of what you need. Okay, and that's the more right there. You're able to work with the love energy. You're working with heart energy. You're working from a caring space and not just a thinking space. But it doesn't mean thinking doesn't happen, because the thinking is happening in February and in March. Okay. But after that is when things start to bridge. There's a bridge happening between your heart and your mind. And you start to see it coming together then. And then we've got the world coming up in the strong sun's moon. This is right in the heart of summer, or the beginning of summer rather. In June, then we have the world at your feet. You know what I'm saying? Literally, the world is at your feet. And so the things that you were trying to conquer that seem to be bigger than you are now just a stepping stone. It's just a step up, and that's what you realize. So really, that whole thing that we talked about with the I-Ching, it looks like you're going to be doing a lot of work around that in the first part of the year. It seems like the first part of the year, they're going to get you started right away dealing with those people. And then after they get you started with those people, and you start to realize why they're there, why they exist there, and not just because, they're trying to be a pain in your ass. They're there because they're serving a very valuable purpose in your growth. Then you're going to start to see things very differently, and there's going to be some things opening up to you, some things that you like, not things that you don't like, things that you actually like. All right, so we got through the first half of the year. Now we're headed on to the second half of the year, and this is July into August. I'm going to go ahead and pull the harvest moon around the harvest time, and then we're going to go ahead and pull duck's fly. That goes into the latter part of October. So we're talking about July, August, September, October, somewhere up in there. All right, so we have strength. So you've been strengthened from your experience. You have the Six of Wands in the harvest moon, which is the latter part of August going into September. You're feeling victorious. And when it gets to the last part, so this is September into October, then we've got some conflict, but I'm not seeing it so much as a conflict. What I'm seeing is that you are able to, you're finally able to conquer whatever that challenge was that you had in the beginning. And I think that it was about butting heads. So I think that it's just showing you that you're going to be reflecting on that experience probably going into October, around the time of October. September, October is what we're talking about. Okay? All right, so October up into November, when it starts to get cold, we've got the Queen of Cups here coming in for you. The Queen of Cups is there to just remind you to reflect, to have this moment of reflection. And the moment of reflection is on what it is that you gained from the experience of opening your heart. What did you gain from the experience of opening your heart? And this is a time for self-discovery. It's also a time to be open, to share that experience with other people, and tell people what you learned from it and how you grew from it, because that's going to be good information for people. All right, and as we get into the latter part of November, headed into the earlier part of December, that's Three of Pentacles. That means that you are fully expressing yourself. Here's what I see. I see that you have a variety of different ways that you can do this. This is what you've learned from this exchange and from this mutual dependence, is that not only are you going to end up with the thing that you thought you were going to end up with, but you're going to end up with two more ideas, or a couple more really great ideas that are going to formulate from that experience. And that's when you're going to see that love, that abundance of love coming through. So now we're in December of 2021, and we've got the Three of Cups. This is always a great card for me, because what it means is that things are coming together. The energies are coming together, and these are energies of manifestation, and they're coming in with love and with joy, which means that everything that materializes in your life is not materialistic, right? Sometimes the things that materialize in your life are things that make you feel good, things that make you feel happy, that give you a sense of camaraderie, that give you, you gain new friends, and maybe new foes too, but that's okay. Sometimes you gotta have those frenemies, right? And that's what can happen from it. Your frenemies become actually your friends when you thought they were going to become enemies. So looks like a great year for you. I'm very pleased with this reading today, and I am taking from it a page out of your book, Leo, because I think this is a good lesson for all of us to remember that just because you get along with somebody doesn't mean you're growing, and it also doesn't mean that everybody that you're struggling with is there for your demise. Sometimes they're there to help you grow as well. So that is your reading for January, actually for all of 2021. You can refer back to this when you feel like you need to. In fact, I recommend that you do throughout the year. Just come back and revisit that part and see if you're on track, or remind yourself of what you're supposed to be doing throughout the year, or what Spirit is reminding you of today. And if you would like to take the deeper dive, you can do so by reaching out to me. The deeper dive is you looking deeply into yourself, looking at what's going on with you right now, so that you can get a head start on your year. So this is very general, but if you would like to do that, look at it from a personal standpoint, we can do that in an individual insight reading. So I am at www.wooingnature.life. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at wooingnature. And as always, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a fantastic January and a fantastic 2021. And I hope you're having a wonderful life.